I've got the looks and the charm of an old movie star. Cary Grant, if you will, so I find it bizarre that this girl should refuse to step into my car. She must be shy, she'll come around, it's just a matter of time. Aurora, Aurora.
Hey there, movie fans. Welcome back to Screen Snark, a podcast dedicated to the movies that are in our eyes, on our minds, and in our hearts. I am Rachel Quirky Shank.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
What's up, people?
We are back for another episode.
Back for more punishment.
Wait, but whose punishment? Is it ours or yours?
I don't.
Or
it's up to you to decide.
I don't judge.
Internet.
I don't judge.
Oh boy.
Your kink is not my kink, and that's okay.
That is the voice of our lovely guest. Rachel, will you introduce our guest?
Yes, our guest this episode is a talented costumer, wardrober. I met them doing The Ride. This is Bevin McNally.
Hello,
Bevin.
Internet.
Bevin, welcome.
Bevin.
So you both worked on the ride?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you both rap or did just Rachel
No,
rap?
They tried to get me to rap once.
Did they really?
Yes.
No. Why would they?
I
No.
remember how proud. I mean, you were very proud of rapping on the ride. I remember.
I'm still proud of I'm proud of the rapping part.
Right. The ride part. Meh.
Cut. Cut from the episode. No.
The ride part we'll talk about off mic.
Fair enough.
She and I also play Dungeons and Dragons together.
Excellent.
D&D.
We talk movies. I thought she'd be a perfect guest for the show.
I like that you've just slowly brought on people from your life onto the show. We had John on,
Yeah.
and Bevin, who are both very talented people, I'm assuming.
Got my soon-to-be co-host of the Infinity podcast on. I'm
Yes.
just I'm pooling
You
from
pull- that's fine.
I'm pooling
Meanwhile-
from a shallow
Meanwhile,
well.
I'm plucking all of these famous people I know. No, I'm not. I
Yeah.
don't know anybody, except burlesque performers. I have them for days.
Yeah.
We both do.
Yeah, we do. I leave booking the burlesquers to you.
That's fair.
And I'm just like, damn
And it's
it.
funny, too,
I have to
because
look
some
for
of them
other
have
people.
reached out and be like, I'm so excited. That's how Carriage Return ended up on the show.
Yeah.
But, like, so many are like, I'm so excited about your show. And I go, I know, I have too many burlesquers on my shows.
Yeah.
But we will, of course, have them all. I want to have Rudy
will.
Valentino on the show because he's like the
yeah.
embodiment of a 50s starlet in a giant bear-like man
Oh,
body.
yeah.
And I love it.
I saw Broody perform at Caveat for a global warming show. And Broody's entire outfit was just incredible. Like the lining, like the way
yeah.
it fell apart. It was just like...
Like, think about
it was a
everything you know
gorgeous
about
thing to
50s
behold.
costuming and cinema. And this gentleman wears them, and he's this tall, statuesque human with a giant beard
Yeah.
and, dark hair.
This feels
It's
appropriate
amazing.
for the movie that I watched this week. I watched a movie from the 50s.
Oh, all right.
Oh.
I did.
So we will start going around the room talking about what we've seen this week or recently, since I don't think any of us watched anything this week.
I did.
I watched my movie over the course of the past 2 days.
All right, so then both of you are better than
I
I
me.
watched
had
something
to.
last night.
I watched a movie over Thanksgiving break. I went with my niece, my wife, and her cousin to see Ralph Breaks the Internet, which is finally a Disney movie that I can complain about. And which is sad. So first of all, I will say that I still love all of the voice performances. I love, and I also want to put on the record, I love the first Wreck-It Ralph. As a gamer nerd, who knew? I love the first Wreck-It Ralph. It's one of my favorite.
Do you feel it all pandered to with Wreck-It Ralph?
And I thought it was brilliant. I loved that they got actual voice actors from the gaming community to voice folks like Sonic and Zangief and Bison and these other characters. It was great. And I loved it. I thought the story was great. This kind of learning who you are story was phenomenal, and the stunt casting was great. Jane Lynch and who played Fix-It Felix?
From 30 Rock.
Yeah, exactly.
I-
Now the three of us are doing it. It'll come back to me, but it's fine.
Kenneth.
Kenneth
Kenneth
Branagh. No, that's a
No,
director.
Kenneth is his name.
His character
in 30
name.
Rock.
30 Rock.
Anyway,
yeah.
but you can yell at us in the comments, internet.
it's
We could
fine.
look it up, but I'm not wasting the time. Anyway, so I saw Ralph Breaks the Internet, which, all in all, was okay, but the narrative was a retread. It was the same finding yourself story, but this time it focused on Vanellope instead of Ralph. But Ralph is, in this movie, still the same insecure, not confident in himself, not believing in himself character that the whole trajectory of the movie is based on. And I won't give a lot of spoilers, but the gist of the movie is the Candy Racer game gets broken.
Yeah.
And so the head of the arcade gets internet, and they decide, because he doesn't want to spend the money on the part, that they'll go into the internet and get the part from eBay. There's a great running gag about Ralph keep on calling it E-Boy, and then they get notifications from eBay after they buy the item from a little boy, and he keeps calling him E-Boy. It was a funny running gag. It's harder to explain.
Yeah.
But the problem is the movie kind of loses itself about halfway through. It still looks really nice. The special effects are great. The way they depict the internet is really clever. And, like, you know, Twitter is a giant grouping of trees with little birds tweeting out actual tweets.
Yeah.
Things like that. Like, there were a lot of really great visual gags, but a lot of the jokes were not laugh out loud funny.
Do they address porn? Like, that is... No, I mean, like, that's something
Disney, did you address porn
So, unfortunately...
in your animated feature?
So,
I mean,
I feel like they had to, like, address it at
So,
some level.
if-
Even just, like, a joke that the parents would get, but the kids
So
wouldn't.
if there was a throwaway gag about it, I missed it. That's how uninterested in the movie I was, which is a bummer.
That
Even
is a
if, even
bummer.
if they had Tumblr on the internet,
the-
they don't recognize porn anymore either.
The only thing I can say without a doubt
Fuck you, Tumblr.
is Gal.
I missed this. What happened?
Oh,
We'll
Tumblr.
talk later.
We'll talk offline.
Yeah.
It's stupid. It's ruining
Lives
for every sex worker on the planet.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Oh, boy.
Anyway, Gal Gadot is still phenomenal. She plays the main character in a online racing game, and she is stunning and attractive, even in this movie, and super likable, and like you just want to love her. She was amazing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great, for lack of a better term, girl power moments. There are a lot of great two female characters talking to each other about their future without a man in the room.
Yay, spectral test!
However, there are also many scenes where Ralph is trying to stop Vanellope from doing what she wants to do because he'll lose his best friend, and me. Like, that's the main plot.
Ugh.
And so it's, like, I mean, eventually, of course, I guess these are spoilers, sort of, but the story will resolve, and eventually there's independence, and Ralph learns from his mistakes, like, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But that's also the same thing Ralph did in the first movie. Learn from his mistakes, come to grips with who he is, learn to live his life and be a better person. Like, it's all the same morals again.
That's, I feel like, a common problem with sequels and movies.
Yes.
Is that we retread a similar character beat, but then we assume that the character has not already learned this beat when
Yeah.
we know that they have because we saw the previous movie.
Yeah. The big problem also is that the Fix-It Felix and Jane Lynch's character, who I can't remember the name of, are still together and very much in love in this movie.
Really good.
They are at the beginning of the movie. There's a sight gag, and they're at the end of the movie.
No!
And the worst part about it is there is meaty story stuff that I cared more about
With them.
with them. So essentially, the Candy Racers game gets shut down, so all of the racers have nowhere to go. So they talk about how they wanted to have kids, so they'll adopt all of them.
Aww.
And like then Fix-It Felix, of course, is losing his mind, and
Yeah.
because it's too many. But then at the end of the movie, they're in the stands cheering for all the racers. Like, it's just, it was such a wasted opportunity to talk about parenting in a Disney movie.
They need to make a third movie called Fix-It Felix Raises the House, where he's raising
Yes!
the racer children.
Yeah.
Listen, take it.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
give it to you freely.
You're
If-
welcome, America.
All I will know is I said it first, and that is all the bragging rights I need. But if you
Yeah.
wanted to kick a little cash my way, Diz, yeah, get at your girl.
There are some stunning performances. Like I mentioned, Gal Gadot. Alan Tudyk comes back again, this time as No More, which is the embodiment of Google and search engines, which he was very good as.
Yeah.
But like, again, no issues with the cast. They still knock it out of the park in delivery. The story was super weak, and I just, I would never watch it again. I have no reason to go back to it. Whereas Wreck-It Ralph, I used to watch on repeat.
Yeah.
Because it's just such a great bad guy wanting to be a good guy, being able to be both story, and I loved it. So, if I had to wrap it up in
three
three
words.
words, a 3-word summary would be Ralph broke me.
Just based on your assessment of this movie, I'm gonna give it a 3-word review, and it's gonna be men never learn.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good summary.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I really wanted to love it. My niece loved it, so
Yeah.
great. It's made for her, not me anyway, so that's fine. But
Yeah.
Disney, this is not Disney Pixar, this is Disney, and they've been doing such a great job with stories and musicals, and I just was hoping Wreck-It Ralph would be the same, and
Yeah.
it wasn't.
That's a bummer.
Yep.
They do that fine treading of lines for like entertainment for children that is also entertaining for adults.
Yeah.
It's why they work so well, and that's sad.
I could also rant about Disney for hours.
Yeah.
Like with the new Dumbo that's coming out and the new Lion King.
Oh no, there's a new Dumbo coming out.
Yeah,
I
live
didn't hear
action.
about why?
They're doing a live action one. Colin Farrell is the lead, who I think one of the stagehands on the circus. It looks like the animals aren't talking in the trailer, so it could be different take and be okay.
Yeah.
And it's Tim Burton, so leery. But I watched the teaser for Lion King, which looks just like the original
Yeah.
Lion King, but with
I'm
live
not-
action.
But I'm not mad because my boy Donald Glover's in it. And
I know, as Simba.
I just want him to make all of the money.
I do too.
I just want him to do everything because I know he can, and he'll
Yeah.
do it better than anybody else.
Also, in that Zazu is being played by John Oliver,
Very
Right.
good,
which I
very
think is
good.
just
Perfect.
like, genius casting.
Very good.
Yeah, I'm excited
he's
about the casting, and
he's like 2018.
James Earl Jones is returning as Mufasa.
Very
I'm really
good.
excited about the casting. It's just Beauty and the Beast was, I thought, not great.
Is Jeremy Irons returning for Scar or?
I don't believe so. I believe it's an all POC cast except for the person playing Timon and the
Okay.
person playing Zazu.
Cool.
So, but I don't see the reason to remake these animated movies live action.
Copyright.
Well, yeah.
In reality, a lot of these movies are coming to the end of their copyright
And so they're renewing
thing.
it.
So if they make something new with the property, it keeps those characters and those stories from entering the public domain. Disney actually has an incredibly long and storied history of doing this.
That's true.
Adam Ruins Everything. Did you ever watch
Yeah,
that show?
of course. I love it. The animation episode is phenomenal.
Yeah, he's got a fantastic episode that goes into detail about how fucked that really is. Are we allowed to swear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so that bums me out because having seen Beauty and the Beast, which I didn't love the original anyway, it wasn't my kind of musical for whatever reason. The new one was okay, but it wasn't
Oh
great.
my god, Ewan McGregor's what was happening with his French accent in
It's
that
so
movie?
bizarre.
It drove my
because
wife
weird.
crazy.
Because he is married to a French woman.
Yeah.
How could he not get this accent down? What happened?
I will say-
Ewan who hurt?
I will say though, I loved Ian McKellen as Cogsworth. He was phenomenal.
Yeah. I could talk for days about the issues I have with the new remake of Beauty and the Beast, where it's just we didn't need all this extra shit.
No.
We didn't.
Yeah.
You don't have to over explain why there's a missing prince.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Get to the canoodling between this giant fuzzy boy.
a lot of bad Disney movies or not as good Disney movies, the cast did some awesome stuff. I actually really love Josh Gad in it. And I don't love him all the
great.
time, but I thought he was great.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the name of the gentleman who played Gaston, but I thought he was really
So
great
good.
too.
Yeah, good performances.
Also, Kevin
bizarre
Kline
movie.
Kevin Kline can play anything and anything,
Yeah,
and I'm here for it.
Yeah,
Dude,
he's always great.
have you heard about the Kevin Kline trope? If Kevin Kline is in a movie and he has facial hair, it's a comedy.
Sure.
If he doesn't have facial hair, it's not.
But he
Isn't
didn't
that
have
crazy?
facial hair in Wild Wild West, and that was supposed to be a comedy.
Well, it wasn't though.
He didn't have facial hair in
Point
El
to the-
Dorado.
Oh wait, and actually he dresses up as the mayor or the head of the town at one point in a disguise and does have facial hair.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you
All
go.
right, that's
There you
interesting.
go.
All right. Well, enough about my movie and Disney. Wreck-It Ralph. Go see it if you really want, but it wasn't great.
Yeah.
Rachel, what did you watch?
I took a little holiday trip over the past 2 days, just trying to figure out what to watch for this show because I knew I couldn't come back with Cats Don't Dance again,
not again.
even though I would forever.
Hey, you had some fans on the internet who chimed in about how great that movie was.
So good. One day you're gonna come in and you're gonna be like, I watch Cats
I
Don't Dance.
will.
I'm like, don't tell me about it. I feel like I've started this really weird trend where I'm either watching animation or old movie musicals.
Uh-huh.
This is what is happening. So this time I watched the holiday classic White Christmas.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen White Christmas.
it's hard. Like, it has its really great moments, and then it has some other parts where I'm just like, like, I understand, like, things are a product of their time.
Of course.
But there's, like, a musical number where in the beginning of the musical number, Bing Crosby and Danny Kaye are singing about how much they miss minstrel shows. And I'm just like, no way. And so while I was doing, you know, my cursory, like, IMDb trivia thing, because Holiday Inn is sort of like a spiritual precursor to this.
Okay.
Like, Bing Crosby sings White Christmas in like 3 movies, and this
Right.
is like the 3rd and last one where he does it. But in Holiday Inn, they did a minstrel show and they did the blackface. And this was
right.
this was the movie, like, this was in color. This was the first Paramount VistaVision movie. They skipped the blackface, so I was like, cool,
God.
I don't have to be really upset at this like wonderful holiday flick. But the story goes, Bing Crosby and Danny Kaye meet during World War II. They form a friendship after Danny Kaye's character saves Bing Crosby's character from a falling wall. And they go into showbiz together. They start doing the vaudeville circuit and like the music scene, and then they're producing on Broadway. They meet 2 sisters.
Of course.
Bing's instantly smitten with the one played by Rosemary Clooney. Danny Kaye's a little less so with Vera Ellen. And they go on to Vermont, and their old general is the owner of this inn, and it's struggling. So they like get a show together to like help their general like bolster sales and not lose the inn, and it's really sweet. And I will say there are some really great pieces of storytelling that happen in the movie. The opening number is Bing Crosby singing White Christmas to the troops as like bombs are going off in the background. So you hear Bing singing this like longing song to like these disheartened troops. Like there's just shots of like them leaning on their guns, just listening to Bing, and like the flashes and the bombs, and you just like, it's maybe 6 or 7 cuts between Bing and the troops, and it was so evocative that I, despite myself, was like tearing up just watching this, just like feeling like this very good storytelling. And whoever directed it, I should have looked it up, did a really good job also of lingering on faces in that very like Spielbergian way of like, it's more important that you see someone reacting to something. There's a really great shot of the general entering in his uniform, because Bing and Danny have like gotten all the old army buddies together to like support their general, who's starting to feel like he's getting older and nobody needs him and everyone's going to forget him. And they very funnily like hide all his suits, so he has to wear his like dress uniform, like his general uniform. And as he enters the room, it zooms in on his granddaughter, and she's got like the tears in her eyes. And like he walks down the stairs, and they enter together, and then all the army men are like singing to him about how much they love their like. It's so good. Like those parts are so good. The costumes are gorgeous.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I have never actually seen this full movie.
Yeah.
But I have seen the costumes.
Yeah, Rosemary Clooney's black dress in the number Love You Didn't Do Right By Me is just like this just gorgeous like black floor length that just gives her like this hourglass figure. And Vera Ellen is 33 years old during the filming of this movie, and that woman can dance. Holy crap, she can dance. Like, she's not only like an incredible mover, she's also so energetic and delightful to watch that I was just like waiting for her next dance number. Like, it was almost like this show was written around her dancing. At least that's how I was just like waiting for it. I was like, oh wait, no, this story's getting in the way of this beautiful dancer just like crushing it. Her dance partner, also very talented musical performer, went on to play Bernardo in the movie version of West Side Story. He won an Oscar for supporting.
Oh.
There you go.
In that movie?
No, not in that movie. Not in White Christmas, but in West Side Story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, it's I understand why it is like a holiday classic for some people. Like, it's very comforting and very lovely. It has very weird moments, like when they make fun of Martha Graham. Inexplicably, like, I don't know why Bob Fosse was so mad at Martha Graham, but I guess he was, because he like was an uncredited choreographer, and they did this whole piece called Choreography, where Danny Kaye and like a bunch of the lady dancers are like moving like Martha Graham and being like, nobody dances anymore. They only do choreography. And I was like, I don't understand. Who hurt you? Who hurt you?
Well, it sounds like you enjoyed it, but it wasn't necessarily great.
Yeah, I mean, definitely look at it as a product of its time.
By the way, you mentioning tearing up before. Something doesn't have to be good to tear up, because at the end of Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet, even though I knew the ending and I knew what was going to happen, when the friends make up, I started bawling like a baby. So, but I mean, the music does that and everything. But, like, so I totally get getting teary-eyed in a movie, almost like you're being tricked.
Yeah,
because
but I don't
it doesn't always own up to it.
Yeah, I don't feel I was being tricked by the general entering to this love by his regiment. You know, like, it was sort of... It was the weirdest B plot that was, like, more important than the A plot.
Okay.
You know?
I do, like, going back to, like, the kind of, like, feeling of being tricked, I often wonder when I'm watching movies and I have this, like, incredibly emotional response, sometimes I think in my head, I'm like, would I be responding the same way if they took out the soundtrack?
Yeah.
If I didn't hear the underscore, would I, like, be feeling this thing I'm feeling? And, like, most of the time, probably not.
No.
Yeah.
You know, but,
well, I know
but music really is, like, the heart's native language in that way.
Absolutely.
So it's so powerful to just be like, oh, God, no.
Yeah, it's exactly why every time I walk down a set of fancy stairs, the overture music of My Fair Lady starts playing, and I am Isa Doolittle, no matter what I'm wearing. I'm obsessed with My Fair Lady. It's fine. I almost watched it right after watching White Christmas, because I was like, no, I need a good musical. It's like a good, solid...
What would be your 3-word review of White Christmas?
I would say charming but dated.
Okay.
Or I would say snow was asbestos. Because it was. Because the snow was asbestos.
Wait, was it actually?
Yeah. Yeah, the snow at the end, because, like, there's a C plot where they're like, there's no snow, and that's why the lodge doesn't have any people. And then at the very end, they're doing the big show, and they're singing White Christmas again, and, like, the snow starts falling, and, like, it's a magical thing. And on IMDb, it was like, that snow was asbestos.
All right. Well, then.
Spoilers.
We didn't know as much about asbestos then as we do now.
It's true. But then that did take me out of the movie when it was snowing and it was, like, so beautiful. I was like, someone had to clean up all that asbestos.
Did they die?
Oh, there were horses in it. Oh, no. It's terrible.
All right. Bevin, what was your movie?
I watched I, Tonya for the first time.
I've still not seen it. I still have not seen it. I've heard great things, but I've not seen it.
Allison Janney is one of the greatest. She is, like, I would put her in, like, my top 5 greatest living performers.
Yeah.
She's amazing. I love her so much.
So transformed into this, like, horrific
Yeah.
human.
Oh, she's so nasty.
Just awful.
And when they show the footage at the end, just
Yeah,
like she nails it.
Because spoilers, I guess, kind of. At the end, they show you clips of the real people compared to, like, the performances, and it was so incredible to see her her physicality was so on point for this woman, even as she aged. Mm-hmm. Like, she aged into that character just beautifully. Yeah. And not that Margot Robbie was not excellent, because she was, but, like, Allison Janney just knocked her off the screen. Yeah. She was so good.
Yeah, any scene that they were in together, it was Janney who had my focus.
Yeah, and Margot Robbie, like, again, like, I think she was great. She was really, really well cast, and she did such a good job giving this, like, woman on the verge feeling to Tonya Harding. Mm-hmm. But I think she might have been a little old.
Yeah.
And, like, just because when she was performing these moments, it looked like a woman doing figure skating. And then when it went to the real Tonya Harding at the end, even when she was, like, 23 and in the Olympics, she still looked like a 15-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think that there was a real opportunity to tell a story of arrested development, of like a story of like how, I mean, if Joe Jackson has taught us anything, it's that you can in fact beat your children to greatness. But if Bing Crosby taught us anything, it's that you shouldn't try.
Also true.
Like I mean, and that is like kind of the larger
Right.
kind of story arc is how she was this incredibly abused person,
Right.
and that led to her really, and I'm totally spoiling the movie. Sorry.
Yeah, spoilers.
I mean, it's a true
fine.
story.
It's based on a true
Everybody
story.
knows.
Yeah.
Like, that sound clip of Nancy Kerrigan screaming "Why?" has got to be one of the most famous moments of human despair ever.
Yeah.
And, like, I remember seeing clips of the movie, like, because for those who don't know what the movie's about, it's kind of a lead-up to the events that were in the news. And it's about her story as a young girl, like, developing and growing up. And so, like, there's scenes...
And meeting Sebastian Stan's character, whose name I forgot.
Doesn't matter. He's an asshole.
Yeah.
Right. But...
Jeff. Yeah, Jeff.
But, like, the scenes
I
where...
watched the movie. I should know.
I haven't seen the whole movie, but my partner was watching it. And when she got up to, like, some of the scenes where Sebastian Stan's character meets her for the first time, I'm watching and I'm going, they look like two adults. I don't know. Like, just took me out of the movie. Because, like, I looked at it and I didn't feel... I don't know, of course, I haven't watched the whole movie. I was just seeing a clip over my shoulder. But I looked at them and saw the actors, not the characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I feel like that part of...
similar problem.
And I feel like that, for me, also part of it was probably because I didn't watch the whole movie. I'm sure if I sat with the characters, I would have felt differently.
Yeah, I would say it didn't necessarily take me out of the movie when I was watching it, but definitely at the end when I saw the real people, I like bumped on it a lot. And especially in the moments when like, when I met Jeff when I was 15, and then it's like Margot Robbie, who is a gorgeous adult woman, with a pixie cut that really, like, I get that it was the 90s and like the unfortunate feathered pixie cut was a thing, I get it. But like it aged her, that haircut made Margot Robbie look even older.
Yeah, not younger.
So like even if it was an accurate character, accurate to who Tonya Harding was, it was a poor choice visually, I think.
I always find it interesting when, I mean, I get why, but Hollywood often hires older. And, like, I get it, like, I had, this is sort of off topic, but I had this strange existential crisis watching Riverdale, the TV show.
Oh my God, I love that show.
Because I'm attracted to everybody on that show.
Oh my God,
and it makes me so uncomfortable until I realize they're all in their mid to late 20s.
You're fine.
Some of them in their 30s. Though still Cole Sprouse has no business being that attractive when I used to watch him on a hotel Disney TV show, like as a child. It's just not okay.
You can get it.
But anyway, so because of that, like I've had this weird experience with age stuff. Do I need to give you a minute, Rachel?
Nope, we're good.
Okay.
That's great.
Watching aged up actors like playing characters younger than they are, it always just makes me feel weird. And especially in a movie like that where like Tonya Harding was not an unattractive person, but like the attraction and her physicality is not the important part. It's the character, the personality, and like to pick an older woman to play a younger person just doesn't seem to make sense to me.
Don't worry. I watch anime. Let me play the music of my people. Usagi is supposed to be 13.
Oh yeah.
What are we doing?
Well, that's like I just started watching. I promise we'll get back to your movie.
I could talk forever about She-Ra.
So I've only seen the first 3 episodes, but when everyone was outraged about like her not being as bosom laden and like sexualized, I went back and looked up the ages of Prince Adam and Adora in the original TV shows. They were 15 and 16.
Yep.
And built like human adults.
You didn't have 32 double G's when you were 16?
No, I didn't even have boobs
I didn't have
when I was
pecs
16.
or a crotch like Prince Adam.
I
still don't.
Flat as a pancake when I was 16.
So,
I mean, I've been watching a ton of Fairy Tale, which
very strange.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so
It's
deep down this
fucking
rabbit hole now. Let me tell
over.
you something. The plots of this anime, like all of the plots are incredibly shallow, but the lore is so deep, and I'm like in it for the lore at this point. But all of the characters, there's like 2 female characters in this guild of like 1 million people who don't have enormous boobs, and one of them is 10.
Yeah.
Like, and the other one it's like addressed. The only reason that she has small boobs is so that the character can have a moment where she feels ashamed for not having big boobs.
Ugh, gross.
But I'm, you know what?
Yeah,
I'm
you're in it.
still-
I get it.
No,
Don't
I am.
worry.
I'm still in it. I love you, Levy.
I was watching Fairy Tale as well, but I will say I'm gonna circle back real quick and be like, listeners, if you are not watching She-Ra and
You
the
need to
Princesses
watch
of
it.
Power,
It's
you need to
amazing.
watch it. I've watched the whole season already.
Only 3 episodes in, and it's
It
phenomenal.
is fantastic, and
get
it
on it. I
only
haven't
gets
seen it
better.
yet.
It's like this little balm for my queer heart while I'm
Yeah.
waiting for more Steven Universe.
See, this is the thing. I was hesitant on Steven Universe too, because she was talking to me about Steven Universe. You and Liz for months.
I got
Yeah.
Liz on it, so
For months they were talking to me about Steven Universe, and I was like, I don't
shout
wanna
out to
watch
friend
a
of the podcast,
kids-
Liz.
I was like, I don't want to watch like a kid show. It's gonna be stupid. And I also the Cookie Cat episode threw me off because I really hated Cookie Cat.
I mean, that's not a true telling of what the whole show is about.
No, of
it's
course
a bad
not.
start.
But once I like gave it enough time to like get it, I was like, this show is a million times better.
I'm still
than
not
it
caught
has-
up. I'm still not caught up. I'm still not
Yeah,
caught up.
by the time you get to episode 2 with Laser Light Cannon.
Oh my god.
What?
Yeah, no, I'm saying, oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
Once
And
you get into
once you
episode
get
2.
to that, and like Greg goes, Rose, you're just like, nope, I'm in. I'm
Yeah.
in now. I'm in.
The moment that really got me, I mean, we're totally off I, Tonya now on Steven Universe, and I'm
That's-
not mad at it.
No.
Don't even worry.
Was I mean, and I was like already like very into the story before I got to this moment, but the moment where I realized like how brilliant the show really was is the moment in Little Butler when Amethyst and Greg are having this very adult conversation about how Amethyst mourned Rose.
Yeah.
And to me it read very sexual.
Yes.
And it was one of those moments where I was like, how did they get away with doing this on a children's show? And
Yeah.
it took me a second to realize there's nothing explicit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No.
Yeah.
Because I was watching it with my kid brain.
Yeah.
Like I do. Like I was and like
Yeah.
when you brought this up, I was like, no. Oh
yeah.
Well, that's like
It's and it was one of those moments where it's like
Like,
oh,
all
they
that-
are able to bring in this feeling where if you're a kid, you don't get that there's something sexual happening,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you get that there's something adult that you don't understand
Yeah.
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
And that was just so genius.
Yeah.
the moment that really got me was the first. I think it's the first time there's a fusion that you know of, and it's between Amethyst and Garnet, and the way they dance. I'm like, and like Pearl covering Steven's eyes. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my, you know, which I
Yeah.
love. I'm in love with Garnet.
crazy.
Like, I love the character. I love everything about her. Like them.
Love Estelle.
Anyway,
yeah.
but that was the first moment when. Oh my!
Oh goodness.
Like, but
yeah.
I didn't feel like. Well, and
Yeah.
also like I
Oh.
felt like my cheeks getting red. Like I was kind of embarrassed a little bit, but not in a
Yeah.
bad way. Kind of like seeing those adult moments with not the right brain to process them. It's delivered in a way that I think is really beautiful.
Yeah, I feel the same way about. We're getting deep into it. If you haven't
Steven
watched
Universe.
Steven Universe,
You need to watch it.
when we're back in time and
Yeah.
Rainbow Quartz happens.
Oh, yes.
During that like guitar riff and
my God.
they're dancing and it's just like
that whole thing.
What can I do for
And then
you?
and then when Pearl walks away, like this hair flip, and I'm just like,
It's like oh.
And that flashback is so interesting because that I think is the first time I realized
I swear, guys, movie
We'll
podcast.
get back to
Movie
that
podcast.
after,
after
promise.
this we'll get back. So that's the first time that I realized that Amethyst as a character, because up until that point we always kind of see her as another one of the people raising Steven.
Yeah.
And it's not until you get these flashbacks that you realize no, Amethyst is another child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is just the older sibling. And it creates such an amazing family dynamic.
What a-
I love it.
what
Well, yeah,
perfect
especially
marriage.
considering the later seasons when Steven starts to advance faster than her, and like she feels left behind, like when she won't take the right shape or she changes her shape. Anyway, Steven Universe, go watch it.
Go watch it.
They're,
and
they're coming out with a movie, which we'll talk about on the
Yeah.
show. But
Oh yeah, oh boy, we should just dedicate an episode
So
to
to
that
that movie,
movie.
probably.
Can I be on that? 'Cause-
I don't see why not.
Why not? But yeah, so circling back to
I,
Tonya,
So because
almost to the antithesis of Steven Universe.
So I have to talk about the costumes.
Yeah.
Because that's my
It's
thing.
Your job.
The hair and makeup was spectacular. The way that they made all of her costumes look homemade was really, really well done.
Yeah, agreed.
Which when they cut back to like here's the real footage of Tonya Harding, even her costumes don't look as handmade as they did on like in the movie. But
Yeah.
I think you really needed to see because we don't see any other figure skater.
Right.
We see Nancy Kerrigan for a half a moment, but we don't even see her skate.
Right.
You know, so you really only have Tanya and her experience and her physicality to look at, and she has to be different enough from the idea of figure skating that we have in our head that it's that it is so different, you know, that like it makes sense that these judges are like, oh no, she's gross.
Yeah, and I think it was important to embellish the handmade look because it is part of the plot why she's not advancing, even though she is technically doing something with more strength than other skaters, like why she isn't, and like just
why her scores are not reflecting that.
Yeah, I think it was needed. If they made them look nice, it wouldn't read or make sense, and
I think this is partially where the casting of Margot Robbie, I think this is where her age, and also part of it is that Tanya Harding is a tiny human and Margot Robbie is a very tall human, so that was just like a weird oh hey, but that actually played well because there's a moment where Tanya Harding's mom, right after she does this amazing performance, she lands the triple axel and it's this beautiful moment. And then the mom looks at her and said, "You skated like a bull dyke." Oh, and it was one of those moments where, like, not only was that, like, just like a woof to hear from anyone, let alone a parent, but it was like that moment was really helped by Margot Robbie's physicality, by the fact that she was taller, by the fact that she looked older, by the fact that she, I don't want to say heavier, but she is just, like, more muscularly built than the actress that they had who played Nancy Kerrigan, who was, like, a very willowy woman.
Right.
So, like, it did help to have that difference a little bit. I still bumped on it, but the movie was so good.
That's right,
it was great.
I really did see it.
And Sebastian Stan was deeply terrifying.
Yep. The way he plays that mentality of like, I was doing what I thought was best every step of the way, even though he's just a horrible, abusive monster who commits crimes, just like...
And that was the most fascinating thing, was it was an entire story told by unreliable narrators.
Exactly.
Every one of the narrators was totally unreliable.
Yeah.
And yet you're supposed to kind of follow this story. And... the true unsung hero, I think, of that movie, I wish I knew the actor's name, the guy who played Sean. The friend who actually choreographed this entire attack.
Yeah.
Right.
Who is
the moment when he's like, no, this is what you want. No, it's not. Yes, it is.
We were always doing this.
So good.
Like the deep insecurity in his masculinity that he must have had to feel the need to lie. No, I have a history in counterterrorism.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
No, you don't. What does that even mean?
Of course you don't.
It's just it's a comedy based on a tragedy. Just a huge farce of terrible people.
Yeah.
Kind of like our government. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
It's okay.
Podcast.
That's fine. So what would be your 3-word review of I, Tanya? And it doesn't have to be a sentence. I often like sentences, but it can be...
It can be like 3 descriptors.
Yeah, it can be any 3 words.
Yeah.
Amazing, terrifying... Would watch again. I'm gonna make that one word. Would watch again.
Would watch again. I like it.
All right.
I like it.
I don't know. I'm bad at 3-word descriptions.
That's okay.
Cool.
Just wait till we get to the end of the episode.
It's springing. That's what we do here.
So now to do the thing I do, segue and shift the topic. Bevin, you're here. A, because you're wonderful, but
Yay.
B, because you are a costumer.
I am.
And we try and bring people from all walks onto the show to talk about movies. So talk a little bit about your experience with costuming and like when you started doing it. Is this something that you've always worked on since you were in school?
Yes. I knew what I wanted to do very, very early on. I was 11 years old, and my parents went and they brought all of us to see Wicked on Broadway, and it was the original Broadway cast.
Ooh.
And I walked out of the intermission of that show, walked up to my parents and said, I want to do that. I didn't know what that was, but I knew
that. Something to do with that.
And I was a performer for a very brief time. I was in some very sad commercials for a while that I'm sure are on YouTube. And then realized that I just was not at all a performer. I didn't want to be the center of attention. I wasn't comfortable in that world, but I was so in love with the church of theater. You know what I mean? In that community. And I was like, how can I still be in that community, but nobody's looking at me? I'm a tech. Yeah, and costumes was just a very natural kind of segue from that. I've been doing it ever since, I guess freshman in college was the first time I started, like, really full doing it. And then my college journey was long and windy. So I worked freelance in between, colleges. And, so I am trying to segue more into just doing design. But there's not as many design jobs out there as there are wardrobe jobs. So
I would figure,
Yeah.
So you're looking to do more design the stuff, not make the stuff?
I'm design at the level that I'm at right now is usually both.
Okay.
Wardrobe tends to be a little bit more of like maintain and take care of
Got it.
stuff.
Okay.
You don't you don't really get a say in like what anything looks like. You just have to maintain the look.
Yeah,
Got it.
Keep it clean, assist with like quick changes.
Oh yeah, I can get people naked very quickly.
It's a skill.
Good to know.
It's a skill.
When
I was interning in theater, I did like the PA thing, so I was sort of like shoved in places, and I like had to help actors with quick changes and like setting props. Like, it's tough. Like all of a sudden, it's like the lights are only out for about 15 seconds. This person needs new pants, new shirt, new tie, everything. It's just like,
oh yeah,
great.
Quick changes are almost always counted in seconds. They're almost always like very intricately planned ahead. If they're not intricately planned ahead, then they don't happen well. But this is the most difficult change I ever had to do. We had a 14-person ensemble that needed to change from full body unitards with gloves and very giant, delicate wing pieces into full Catholic school uniforms with like ties and suspenders and vests. And they had 30 seconds for the change. There were 14 cast members and 3 wardrobe people.
Yikes.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. But we made it happen.
I believe it.
But like, it's just, and honestly, the trick is stay calm, breathe, know what you're doing, and trust the people around you to know what they're doing as well. Which on some shows is harder than others.
I would imagine.
But, I've worked shows. I had a show once where we had this quick change from a girl from like a Playboy bunny uniform to like a surfer girl uniform. And I'm unzipping her Playboy bunny and her fishnets get caught in the zipper and I'm trying to just like let it go and I just get it off and the girl turns around and goes, "What are you doing?" And as soon as she turns, they hook right back on. And it was just like,
trust me. Let me do my job.
And so I just ripped the fishnets. I was like, well, we had time for me to save these fishnets, but now we don't.
Yeah.
Right.
On this podcast segment bit called "Sometimes Actors Are the Worst."
I mean,
I was helping with a production in college, and one of the quick changes I had to do was it was a 2-person show called I Do, and I was on the husband's side of the stage for the show. And one day we were assisting with a quick change because, like, this whole show is, like, a course of a marriage over years. So, like, they go off stage and, like, there was one where he, like, had to switch him real fast. And he was so needy. Like, the actress was amazing. Like, such a sweet woman, so giving, so kind. He was, like, the opposite of that. Oh. And there was one day where, like, he was just not cooperating in the quick change and just like storms back on stage, not changed, and he just goes, "Pants!" And we're just like, why? Like, you could have just, like, what are you doing? Oh, no. One time he said, there's a song about their children growing up and getting married, and the lyric is, when the kids get married, I'm going to buy a chicken farm. I'm going to buy a chicken farm. And he's saying, when the kids get married, I'm going to buy a chicken egg. I'm dead. I'm dead. Anyway, theater, for real. Wardrobe stuff.
I have no fun theater stories. I wasn't in theater, but you guys have plenty, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, actually, Bevin, because I've not actually had a long-form conversation with a costumer. Have you ever seen a movie where the costumes are so terrible it takes you out of the movie? Even if it's a good movie, and the movie's still good, even though the costumes are bad.
Almost every movie.
Really?
It is an unfortunate, and I think maybe this is just me, but I think other designers and people will back me on this. Once you are taught to look for things, you can't not see them.
Okay.
So we were watching Hocus Pocus.
Yeah.
And it's a 2-second moment where a girl walks down the stairwell in a 18th century French court gown.
Yes.
And she wasn't wearing any undergarments. And 18th century French court gowns are supposed to have panniers, which are giant baskets that sit on your hips. So she had these just big flaps of fabric that should have been standing out, but instead were lying flat. And it's a 2-second moment where a woman is wearing a Halloween costume.
Right.
And it drove me nuts for the rest of the film.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, when I watched Hocus Pocus, I watched it with Bevin.
I gathered that. Well, and I can relate to that. I, for many years, ran a music podcast that is currently on hiatus. But since then, I've always had an ear for music. But since then, like, there are intricacies in songs that take me out of the song, certain notes or certain instrumentation. Like, I can't unhear it. Like, even if I love the song, I hear those moments that I don't like. So I totally get that. Are there any costumes in modern cinema that you are particularly proud of, that you've seen, that you really like?
Oh, yeah. There's been some really, Black Panther. The design of Black Panther is just gorgeous.
Yeah.
And one of the big things about it is you can see the research.
Yeah.
And it's something that is neglected by Hollywood sometimes. A lot more than it should be. But you know, even if you're doing a fantasy world, if you base it in research, it just creates so much more texture.
Yeah.
And I mean, this magical world of Wakanda had elements from like different tribes, and there was a color story to everything.
Oh, yeah.
And every color that they were wearing just made their skin pop and glow, and I'm sure that is like also credit to lighting.
Right.
But oh man.
Yeah.
The design for Black Panther was
The work they put into Black Panther, like I could write a paper about it. Just like the attention to detail and the love. Like Coogler and his team just like built this world from the ground up, and you can see that work.
It's definitely it's definitely of the Marvel worlds, the one that once you step into it, I feel like it just exists. It's real. Like Thor Ragnarok a little bit, like there's definitely great set design in that too, but just because, like you said, the costumes and the music and the like, even the interactions in the market between Black Panther and the spy whose name I'm blanking on. Not her sister.
Shit.
Yes, but anyway,
we're all bad at remembering names. On this podcast.
Chadwick and Lupita. When they're in the market talking to each other, I'll use actor names.
Yeah, why not?
And just having casual conversation, it feels so real because of what they're wearing, the sounds of the market, and just the location, the way it was designed. And I love worlds that are designed that way. The biggest problem I had with the first Avengers movie is no one's costumes look real. Like
I had a similar issue.
Like the way Thor, I love Thor's outfit in Avengers, but the way the cape kind of comes up from under the armor and like billows above his shoulders a little bit looks so weird. Cap's uniform looks completely unreal. Like I love the design of it later. Like I think the Winter Soldier design of his costume is one of the best because it just looks like an army uniform with a giant star on it. And like, I mean, that said, making realistic uniforms don't always look good. Like the first X-Men movie where they're all wearing black leotard, puffy, God knows what. Like that all looked terrible. So it can kind of go either way.
You know who's always looked good in the movies? Spider-Man. I've always liked what they've
The
put
costume
Spider-Man.
design in all the Spider-Man movies have been
like,
very good.
No matter what, like
well, because they've done interesting
Raimi,
things with all of them.
amazing, Holland, like all good.
Raimi's suit in the first and second movies are the one that I look at and go, I want to wear that.
Yeah.
Because it looks physical, like, because the spider design on it stands out from the suit. Whereas Andrew Garfield's suit looks very woven. Like, that one looks physical. Like, I would want to wear that.
See, I actually prefer, just strictly from if we're just talking about the suits, I actually prefer Andrew Garfield's because of the way that they built the shoes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
And footwear and just like wear and tear in general on costumes tend to be a little bit of a pet peeve for me.
Yeah.
Like, nothing drives me crazier than watching a historical drama where where we see peasant people and they have clean hems. That drives me nuts. It wasn't a thing. If
Yeah.
you were a peasant in this time, your clothes were dirty.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the way the world was. And it feels like such a huge missed costume detail whenever it's not there, you know? And I feel like there's a lot of that trap in historical dramas where people build a historical drama under glass and don't like it's like no, people were living in it. There was mud, there was dirt, there was fire. Like, and I think that's part of the reason why I like the Avengers costumes.
Yeah.
Is I like them at the end of the movie because they all look trash.
That's true. That was
They're
really
all
good
trash.
design. And I did really like the way they did depict in the fight in Manhattan, just the wear and tear and all the costumes, the moments that happen, like when Cap goes into the bank, blocks the grenade with his shield and gets shot out the window. When he stands up, he looks like someone who is just blown up with the soot and like the shield scratches. Like, it looks lived in and worn. And I think that may be why I don't like his costume earlier in the movie, because for the most part it doesn't look worn. Even after like the fight with Stark and Thor, Stark's, because it's all digital, looks fairly worn, but Thor doesn't, and Cap doesn't. And like, Thor's a god, yes, so his face should be perfect, but his clothes are not gods. His clothes are clothes. Yeah. For the most part.
Though.
Yes. It's true.
Yeah.
Probably the only reason I want to see Bad Times at the El Royale is because of that scene with him with his shirt open, just kind of looking phenomenal.
I haven't heard much about Bad Times.
I mean, either, but good or bad. I've heard almost nothing, which intrigues me more.
I know.
Because it seems to me like another... what are their names? I can't with names today, but I'll come back to it. But it seems like one of those really good thriller ensemble pieces that there aren't a lot of now, especially original properties. Like, anything I can see that's an original IP. I love my comic book movies, but like, new stuff. Yeah. We need more new stuff.
Did you see The Nice Guys with Russell
No,
Crowe?
but I wanted to.
See, I get kind of a, like, I really liked it. It kind of reminded me of Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Ooh.
Sure.
You know, I'm very into that kind of noir-ish, but silly noir.
Yeah.
Because
you must have seen Brick.
I haven't seen Brick.
You've not seen Brick? You know what movie I'm talking about, though, with Joseph Gordon-Levitt? It's a high school noir movie. Like, it takes place in a high school. No. And it's a noir film.
I will watch it,
Yes.
though.
I think it's on Netflix, maybe still. But yeah, it's called Brick. It's unbelievable.
So one thing, I want to jump back to you talking about Cap getting knocked out of the window in that one moment, because there is something that drives me nuts about that moment. And I get that he's a superhero, but like, I feel like Cap should feel like he took a little bit more of a hit in that moment. And I think that that's something I struggle with Chris Evans' performance, is that when he's getting punched, I don't feel like he's physically actually taking the hit.
Yeah.
And I
wonder if that's more of a choice because of his, like, super soldier.
Because he's supposed to be a super soldier.
Like,
which makes sense, totally. But it just...
It takes you out of the moment.
A little bit.
And it's funny, though, because, like, Robert Downey Jr., every time he gets hit in any movie, looks like he's gonna die. Like, he takes those hits really well.
He's just like a dude.
He is just a dude.
You know who else does that excellently is, Mal from Firefly.
Nathan Fillion. In everything he's in.
And Nathan Fillion, that man can take a hit.
Yeah.
Like, when he there's a moment in Firefly when he's getting his face beat into the glass at, like, the very end, where I'm wondering if he actually got hit on this take and they just used it. But, like, he looks like he got his bell rung. Yeah. He's drooling, his eyes are, like, crossed, and it's like, yeah, that's what you look like when you get punched in the face. Yeah. You don't just stand up and say a quip.
Yeah, Marvel.
Yeah, Marvel.
We can't all be Buffy.
Both podcasts you're on have turned into you dissing Marvel. I mean, not really, but
no,
like...
I love them, but they might be bad.
But you do have a lot of...
They might be bad movies.
They might be.
It's like, I love you, be better.
Right, no, that's definitely true. And we're approaching that with Captain Marvel, which I have very high hopes for.
Oh, boy, that trailer.
The new one,
I haven't seen it yet.
They released a new trailer. There's more Nick Fury in it, and there's more, like, human moments.
A cat.
I love Brie Larson so much. And it's funny because I only knew of her from Scott Pilgrim initially. Yeah. And, like, that's just such a specific, non-representative role of what she can do that once I started seeing her in more TV and movies, I was like, oh, you're an actress with range who just played this one really bitchy character very well, but you actually do a lot more than that. And so I'm very excited for her to be Carol / Captain Marvel.
Yeah. Captain Marvel is also a character that I don't know a lot about.
It's great.
I feel like I'm coming into this, like, eyes.
The
boy,
comics are a little wacky anyway.
Yeah,
like Guardians of the Galaxy, it doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Guardians is real weird. I read the versions that Corey was lettering.
Okay.
The really recent ones of Guardians, and that was really fun because like Eddie Brock was there and like all of this.
But like
it was DeConnick that did a run of Captain Marvel, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I remember the original comics where
the one where she lives in the Statue of Liberty.
she lives in the Statue of Liberty.
Read those.
Those
Just
are good.
look those up. I
Well,
read
because,
those. I
like-
can't remember who wrote them, but they're really great.
Like in the original comics, Captain Marvel was this guy Marvel who then impregnates Carol, and then she gives birth to herself or something. It just gets really
weird.
wacky. So anyway, this version where she's like a soldier in a Kree army is way better anyway. So you don't need to know anything.
Yeah.
I think going into it knowing less will make it better, probably.
And hopefully this will open the door for us to get some Kamala and Ms. Marvel. I'm just saying.
Yes, Kamala would be
world.
great.
I did. So that actually is the only like Miss Marvel or Captain
Kamala
Marvel
Khan.
is Kamala Khan.
Yeah.
And it was a friend of mine just like handed me a stack of comics one day, and right on top was the Kamala Khan, and she was just like, "Here you go. You're gonna like these."
Yeah.
Yeah, I've unfortunately only read the first issue because, of course, we bought it when it came out. But it was great, and I want to read more. I also want to watch Marvel Rising, which is Kamala Khan. It's an animated show that it's Squirrel Girl, Kamala Khan, Spider-Gwen, and then Chloe Bennett voices Quake in the animated version. And Quake is in it, yeah. So like, I want to watch that because I hear it's very good, and it primarily I hear follows Spider-Gwen, Kamala Khan, and Squirrel Girl. So like,
Did you
those
ever
are good
read?
characters.
This isn't movies at all. This is comics. But did you ever read Runaways?
Yes. I have not watched the show. My spouse has, but I love the comics. I thought they were great.
The show, I watched the show because I loved the comics so much, and I was like, let's see what they do with it. They never run away. They never run away in the TV show.
Well, I have to hope in season 2 they do.
They run away in the first issue like the comics, and they never run away.
Oh, my heart. It's so
really funny.
joyful. Never run away.
Yeah, that's another thing that I've commiserated with Rachel's co-host on her other show, is that I can't keep track of Marvel media anymore.
No,
I haven't watched half the Netflix series. I haven't watched Cloak and Dagger, even though I know I should. Like, I'm just so behind on everything. I gave up on the DC stuff, too. Like, I loved Arrow and The Flash and Legend of Tomorrow. I haven't watched Black Lightning left yet. Like, I love that there's so much comic books in media, but I don't have the time for it.
It's exhausting to, like, keep up and watch and...
The only thing I was able to dive into this year was the Spider-Man for PS4 game, which I will fight to the death is the best incarnation of Spider-Man ever written. Nice. It's so good. The story is so good. They revolve a lot of the story around his relationship with Dr. Octavius, and it's so brilliantly written.
Nice.
I highly recommend it.
Listen, if anybody wants to lend me a PS4 and a copy of the game, I would like to play it.
Yeah. There was another question I wanted to ask you. Oh, so with costuming, what is the most fun thing you've ever gotten to design or make?
Ooh, good question. I wasn't the designer on this, but the most fun that I ever had, I worked wardrobe on a show. I don't even remember the name of it now because it was like a weekend show in college. It was a drag show kind of.
Okay.
But it wasn't like your stereotypical drag show. It was like a planned theater performance.
Okay.
With like dramatic monologues and like dialogues and everything, but performed entirely by drag performers. And there was a amazing, terrifying drag queen who wore a black high-waisted tuxedo suit with bedazzled lapels, bedazzled hem, and stilettos that could have killed a man.
Or woman.
Or woman. Human. Could have killed a human.
And probably did.
And maybe animals.
And bald. She was completely bald, well in drag, and had eyebrows that were built out of her actual eyebrow, which I really like, because I think that that's something that's not done a ton in drag. People have a tendency to just kind of block out the eyebrow and go over, which is part of the, it's part of the art form. But she built out her own eyebrows, and then the same bedazzling that was on the suit was on her eyebrows as well. And it, like, with the no hair, with the super high heels, with the suit, she was just like the most powerful human I had ever seen.
It sounds like Sasha Velour, but it probably wasn't Sasha Velour.
Oh,
but
this
it
was in
sounds like
Oklahoma City,
yeah,
so
yeah,
I doubt it.
No, yeah, definitely not that. That sounds awesome. And so did you help dress them?
I was just running wardrobe on that.
That's
I
awesome.
was there to just, and that didn't have any particular quick changes or anything. I was pretty much there to just catch things as they got thrown off stage and do laundry. But oh man, I had so much fun working with those people. They were like these beautiful, like, goddess earth mothers to me, because I was just this like 18-year-old kid in college, and they were all so like smart and artsy and beautiful.
Yeah.
I
that.
wish I had any of their names or numbers to like reach out to them, but I don't.
Yeah.
Because when I left Oklahoma, I just burned that bridge.
Yeah, that's fine. I do have a question. I'm usually not full of questions, but in my understanding and cursory knowledge, taking like design classes in college, what, and this is going to be so weird because it's mostly going to be like, what women, because men just looked the fucking same forever. If you had the opportunity to design any particular time period, what would you design, and why is that evocative for
Get
you?
out of my head. I was just thinking that.
I
I was going to ask the same question.
I'm learning from Stormageddon.
There's
how
nothing to learn from me.
interview.
Anyway.
There's a lot to learn.
So I actually have, I keep like a list written of things that I just dream about doing one day.
Ooh.
And there's no particular time period that draws me historically, but one thing that I would absolutely love to do is design a science fiction or fantasy world. Because there's so much freedom there to pull from the vast history of humanity and build something new.
Cool.
And so that's something that I've always really, really wanted to do, and I've never had the opportunity. I did work on a show once called Bu. And it was like a post-apocalyptic New York, and the entire show was written in gibberish. And it was really interesting.
Wait, so all of the dialogue was gibberish?
All of the dialogue was gibberish. Even the title, Bu, was beautiful. Was the title,
okay, but in a
Bu,
gibberish
but
language.
in a gibberish language. And it was about this one.
We're waving to my wife who just walked in.
Hi.
Which may or may not get edited out at this point.
Banana butts.
Banana butts.
If I start opining on what you're talking about without knowing, then you'd be dead.
Right. Bye.
Movies are great. You should
Bye.
Watch movies. Yeah.
You were saying.
Staying in. Decreed.
Decreed, it's staying in, says the
It's a
editor.
slice of life. There you go.
So and that was a really fun show to work on, because everything was modern day clothes that were cut apart, then hodgepodge back together. And there was like one jacket that had just a duct tape sleeve, and I was so in love with this one duct tape sleeve that ended in a rubber glove.
Cool.
And like
What a sweaty arm that was.
Oh, it was, and it was, and let me tell you, I did the laundry. It was gross. That is one thing people, actors will often hand me their clothes and apologize for being sweaty. And it's like, oh, you don't know. I just live in the sweat. I swim in it. I was born in it.
Thank you for the band reference. I appreciate it. Well, that leads me to my last question before we start to wrap up is, because I know in the brief time I've known you that you are clearly a nerd and like comic books and like comic book movies, as we all do. If you could redesign any of the Marvel or DC current canon costumes, whose would it be and why?
Oh, boy.
Because, like, for me...
Thank you for this gift of a question.
Because for me, if I could redesign anybody, it would probably be the nonsense that Aquaman was wearing in Justice League. His outfits in the new movie look good, and the new movie actually looks fun, but the nonsense he was wearing in the Justice League movie, like, the rest of the costumes looked like costumes, but his, just, like, I didn't... Like, he looked better when he was wearing a tight t-shirt and jeans for obvious reasons, but still.
Okay, so... Oh, that's such
See,
a... I think...
I told a story to stall for you.
I know. I'm
I'm
sorry.
going to help too. If I could redesign anything, I would select any of the villains in the Marvel,
Any movies?
in the Marvel MCU that don't look like their comic book incarnations.
Yeah.
Barring like racial stereotyping and
Right,
stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But like if Zemo looked like Zemo,
That would have been cool.
That'd have been rad as fuck.
Zemo, yeah, that was a waste having him in, like,
Okay, so I love the historical costuming in Wonder Woman. I think the historical costuming is done really beautifully and really well. I would love to redesign the Amazons. Because a similar issue with the Avengers, they look fake. They look like they're wearing plastic, and they're on a gorgeous island world. Like, you wouldn't be wearing plastic.
Yeah.
There's also no I get that they are the greatest. The Amazons are the greatest warriors ever, and they're supposed to be, and that makes sense. But you wouldn't be wearing full combat armor if you live in a world that is not being attacked.
Yeah.
That's also true, yeah.
And as far as we are told, Amazonia's never... Not Amazonia, that's not the word.
Themyscira.
Themyscira.
Thank you.
You're
The
welcome.
mascara.
Themyscira has never, at least in Diana's lifetime, never been attacked.
Right, so why would they all be wearing battle armor all the time?
So why are they all in battle armor all the time?
They're bored.
It was... If you sit down and I see the plastic buckle, then it's a bad costume.
That's fair.
Oh man. Also, I would redesign the last couple seasons of Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
because
it got cheap.
Oh yeah, well, and I genuinely think what happened was their budget got slashed in half, and they were like, well, there's one particular moment where Cersei is walking down a hallway, and we get a full body shot of her, and she's in this gray skirt, and you can see where her hem was tacked up.
Oh,
and
no.
it is a moment that makes me want to shriek. That and oh, look, suddenly pleather exists in Westeros. When did this happen?
Yeah.
Especially because the earlier seasons of that show are just incredible design.
Yeah.
Really beautiful and intricate and aiding to the story.
Yeah.
You can a character walks on screen and oh, they're wearing this color with this embroidery. They must belong to this family. And before you even get their name, you get so much information from the costume, and all of that went right the fuck out the window.
Yeah.
As soon as they were like, oh, we need budget for dragons. Especially.
And for people
dragons
on
don't
fire.
come cheap. You have to get them from the dragon store and train
you gotta
them.
train them. You
know,
gotta hire a
dragons.
Bear show.
I love that our brains are in the same exact place. It's terrifying. We have one final question to ask you, but before we do that, we have some thank yous.
Yes, thank you so much to John Presnell for the use of the song Aurora off the album Fair Game featuring Stefan Remble.
Thank you to our incredible artist friend Katie Bug, who designed our logo that we use. Thank you to everybody for listening. I almost want to thank your mom for you on this podcast. Just I'm so used to you thanking her on the other one.
Forever. Just
Forever.
if she
Thanking your mom.
listens, thanks.
Thanks, Mom.
Thanks all the moms who did good jobs.
Yeah, exactly. Giving birth to all of us.
Thanks,
Yes.
Mom.
Thank you, Bevin, of course, for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And Rachel, drop your bombshell of a question we drop on every guest.
So our question for you before we depart is, if you could choose any one movie trope to be true in your life, what trope would it be?
I really like the trope of, and I'm just stealing this directly
I
from
love
Cracked.
people who have answers already.
Oh, I'm stealing
Big nerds.
I'm stealing this directly from Cracked because they had a wonderful after hours about this. I would like the thing in movies where every time you turn on the TV, it's automatically something that pertains to your life.
Good.
I would really like that.
It'd be so useful.
It would be so
oh my
useful.
gosh.
Or also the other trope of, I guess I'm gonna go do something, and then the next thing is just you're there.
Doing the thing.
You're just there.
No
doing the
travel
thing.
time.
No
travel.
commutes, just like you're there.
Teleportation powers.
Star wipe, you're there.
Yes.
That's good. I like those.
Amazing.
Good
I like
answers.
those.
See, I like people who prepared answers because it means they're as nerdy as I am.
Yeah, they
and
think
I like
about
those
it.
people. Not that the thinkers, I don't like them. It's just
I
another
feel like
level
this
now.
question was born out of backstage conversations at our old job.
I
feel like
sure
this
it
is where I
was.
picked this up. Just like everybody like talking smack in movies and but a trope. I feel like that. But I'm going to thank you because you were a part of that collective mindset. So.
I was going to say this is definitely a old school ride question.
Yeah.
The other one that always went around was if you could. I'm going to hijack your last question.
No, go for it.
If you could have any actor from any point in time play you in a movie, who would you pick to play you?
We have to do this right now.
Honestly, I've been rewatching a lot of old movies, and I feel like Jimmy Stewart would be great to play me.
Well, Jimmy Stewart is great to play anything.
I know, well, that's true too. But like, just
Jimmy Stewart could play me, but not like
specifically in It's a Wonderful Life. Like in the early scenes with him just being awkward and excited, like that's very me. And so I think he would do a good job playing me.
I love that. I think in my narcissism and vanity, I would think about this more. I feel like it's always like, but I would just play me because I'm the greatest me that was ever me.
And you're an actor.
I'm an actor. I think if I had the chance, I would go back in time and select like a young Carol Burnett. To play me, because I feel like my whole life goal is to emulate her. So like to like make this weird like closed loop of Carol Burnett playing me because I wanted to be Carol Burnett.
That's a good answer.
I think that would be it.
I like that.
That was not who I thought you were gonna go with.
Who do you think I was gonna go with?
Megan Mullally.
Oh, I can see that too.
Yeah, I
totally
get
see
that. Yeah. She's so little.
She is.
She's
little.
very little.
What about you, Bevin?
Emma. Nope, that's not.
No,
that's not the right first name. Oh no, I'm blanking on her name. Juno, help me.
Ellen Page.
Ellen Page.
Yes.
Good choice.
Yes.
I can see that.
Y-E-S.
Yeah, I can
yes,
totally
Ellen
see that.
Page.
Yeah, especially I was in high school and awkward and had a terrible ponytail when Juno came out.
Yep.
And
Didn't we all?
Oh, and like I got, oh my God, you look so much like Juno all the time.
Oh, I take it back. I picked Carrie Russell.
Ooh, that's a good choice.
Yeah.
All right, we could play this game forever.
Yeah, forever. We have to depart.
So
we cannot hijack our listeners' time any longer. I told you this would be a punishment.
Thank you again, Bevin, for joining us.
Thank you,
This has been a
Bevin.
pleasure. Thank you to my co-host, Rachel Quirky Shank.
Thank you to my co-host, Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
I keep wanting adding an H to your name. You're Rachel H. Shank from now on.
No, I'm not.
I know, you're
can't-
Rachel N.
can't.
Shank.
H
Yeah.
stands for Hellraiser.
There you go.
Yeah.
And of course, thank you all for listening.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure, and we'll see you at the movies.
And cut.